Are you interested in packaging your knowledge into a high ticket product on or offline? If your answer is yes, the Giant Experience is for you. Here's my story. I got started in my business over 20 years ago, and I simply made the decision to go to work as myself. And maybe you have been wondering how you can take all of those years of experience, your knowledge, or your degrees, and put them to use for yourself and to package it into a monetizable structure. That was me 20 years ago. I wanted to figure out how to take my background as a corporate trainer, and I realized that so many women wanted to know exactly how I was able to write best-selling books, and having done partnerships with both Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies and get signed to media, Emmy-nominated and nationally syndicated television shows as the mom strategist. And so I decided to equally transfer what I knew how to do to them. And I built out a coaching practice that today has coached thousands of women just like you who are ambitious, smart, and sharp, highly actionable, go-getters. And they wanted to figure out how they could go to work for themselves. Hey there, guys, it's Mia here. I am so excited. As always, I'm excited about this live tonight. It's really simple. How do you know when it is the right time for you to make a move? How do you know when to say yes to yourself and the dream that you have been thinking about, the goals that you have set, to actually begin to launch and to jump? I'm going to talk about that over the next couple of minutes. My only goal in what I'm going to share with you guys today is to support you in having the confidence to move. I just want to make sure that every person here can see me and see what I'm doing here clearly. So it looks like on all the platforms it's working. So I'm Mia Redrick, business and life consultant, and I got started in my company, as many of you know, 20 plus years ago. I simply made a decision. I made a decision to go to work as myself. I made a decision to jump, to launch, and to make a move. And tonight's live, really short live, I'm going to talk about how do you know when the time is right for you. And I wanted to do this live specifically because I think that many women do know when they're ready to move. But there are a couple things that get in the way and prevent them from making the decision that can change everything in your life. You know, when I started my business 20 years ago, I didn't have any evidence. I didn't know that what I was going to do was going to work. I had no idea that I'd be able to build a coaching practice and touch the lives of hundreds of women personally, and have the opportunity to reach millions of women as a result of building an incredible brand and getting signed to Emmy-nominated and nationally syndicated television shows, and doing what I love to do. I didn't have anyone that could validate that these things were going to happen for me. And you're not going to have that either until you decide to start. So let's fast forward. As a result of building this business and having the vision back then, before work from anywhere was a thing, my biggest desire and driver was to build a business that would allow me to be free. And the way I decided what freedom meant to me, it meant that I could be the kind of mom that could show up for her kids whenever and wherever I wanted to. I didn't want to work to prioritize how I got to parent. And that was the driver for me, to be able to have expressed freedom. And I know I say it that way because a lot of times we hear people talk about freedom for freedom's sake. But for me, I wanted to build a business around my life. And the women that I've had the opportunity to touch over the years, they also are looking to build a business that has significance. It creates an echo. They want to use their talent and their skills at a very high level to create a movement to touch others. They're women who have divorced, hustle and grind. They're not interested in marching orders or marching for that matter. They understand that the calling that's on their life, that they want that calling in the way they work to have ease and grace. And I say this because so many of the women that I have had the opportunity to support, specifically women of color and high achieving women, they've been told you've got to be twice as good, you've got to work twice as hard, you've got to grind, you've got to be every single person on the market. And a lot of the women that I've had the greatest pleasure to work with, I've helped them to erase this idea of scarcity, to erase this idea of believing that in order for you to be great, you have to eliminate something. It's just not true. There's so much room for you. And I want you to know that there are people right now that are praying for the skills and talents that you have. And if and when you decide to sell what you do for high ticket, you really don't need a whole lot of clients in order for you to change your life. And I hope you feel that from my heart. You know, if your goal is to hit $100,000 this year in your business, your coaching consulting business, you know, and you're selling something for 10 grand, you're only talking about 10 clients, and you could service 10 people with your everything. And those individuals can create amazing results. It's one of the things that I know for sure. I've built a business around intimacy over the years, really focusing on working with a specific group of women who are highly talented, but who want to be seen, who also understand the importance of building a business around what's significant to them. And these women who have decided for themselves that they're over the hustle and grind. They're over, in order for them to generate the kind of income that they want, they have to fly from city to city or town to town or host a million events and you know, and do all of this tech and funnel things. You don't have to do that. And I want you to understand that I teach my clients every single day how to simplify the systems that are sometimes so masculine and so marketing based that it takes you away from what you really want to do. So I want you to hang in there with me today. Hey there, darling. I'm so glad that you're here. I want you to hang in there with me today. I'm going to speak very specifically today to those of you who are wanting to know, how do you know when it's the right time for you to move? How do you know when it is the right time for you to show up for yourself? I think one of the first ways that you know it's the right time for you to move is you know you're hiding, okay? So if you can see me, type 1 if you can see me. I think you guys can see me. I'm not sure on my screen. I can't see myself. You'll know that it's the right time to move when you are hiding. And you know you're hiding because maybe you keep thinking, I need another certification, right? And you keep finding another course, or maybe you keep finding another coach, or maybe you keep finding, you keep finding something else to do to prove to yourself that you're not ready, that in some way, that once you get this next level of training, that's going to be the thing. That'll be the time that you launch. And I know that I'm talking directly to you because so many of the women that come to me, one of the biggest issues that they have in launching is not feeling qualified, feeling in many ways like an imposter as it relates to their talent and their skill, feeling like this unreadiness where they discount the 10 years, the 20 years, 30 years of experience, all the degrees that they already have, all of the learned experience that they come with. They've discounted all of those things. And if that's you, then you're in the right place. We're talking today about, how do you know when it's the right time to move? You know it's the right time to move when you keep trying to get ready, okay? Instead of moving in the direction that says, it's time to launch, I have more than enough, I'll do it imperfectly. You know, some of my greatest success has happened over the years learning on the job, imperfectly moving. And the same is going to be true for you. And if you're that person that you have to keep taking a class before you launch, you got to understand that while you keep trying to get ready and get in position, there are people who are a lot less talented than you that are launching, and they're learning, okay? And they're monetizing because they aren't trying to be perfect, and they're trusting themselves in real time by just saying yes to themselves and showing up. Is that making sense? You guys following me on this? And I just want to speak from my heart about How do you know when it's the right time to move? You know it's the right time to move equally when you are doing your work in your profession and you don't feel fully alive. You don't feel fully expressed. I know that was a feeling that I had. I felt like I loved what I was doing professionally, but I felt like there was more. There was another version of me that I was meant to live, and I wasn't living that every single day. And I'll tell you, I hear this all the time where women get so stuck inside of the dream. They have the dream, they're in it. They're not on it, they're not working on it, they're not doing the dream, they're inside the dream. And they're inside the dream mostly because they're too busy to be bothered. Somebody write hashtag too busy to be bothered. And what I mean by that is a lot of times in your profession and then what you're doing in your community work and what you're doing as a mom or as a wife or as a friend, it keeps us so busy that we don't get to say yes to ourselves and the things that we really want to do. The purpose and calling that's on your life requires attention. And a lot of us are giving inattention to the thing that would change our lives for the better. If you ever want to give your family the best version of you, you got to be all of you. And a lot of the women that I've had the opportunity to coach over the last 20 plus years have made an excuse to move forward toward their dream because maybe fear, maybe doubt, maybe their priorities are every single thing and every single person matters more than the calling that still voice inside of you. If you ever want your kids to know who you are, you got to know who you are. And I always say, like, what a disservice for your kids to watch you, for those of you who have kids, for your kids to watch you, right? Talk to them about building their dream, but never see you playing your own instrument in your own dream in life. And it's the reason why I get women to take that stance for themselves. I believe that when you get to know yourself better and you really do show up for yourself, your world improves just because you like your life more. And so tonight's live is really just a call to you. It's not going to be a live for everyone. It's a live for that person that is trying to figure out, when do I know is the time is right for me to move? The third way that you can tell that it's the right time for you to move is that every time you journal or you write or you're thinking about what you want to do, you can't stop thinking about the dream. You can't stop thinking about the thing that you want to launch. It stays on your mind every single day. It doesn't leave you. You're in the shower, you think about it. When you're eating a meal, you think about it. Your lunch breaks, you think about it. Or sometimes you find yourself watching videos of people who are enacting or doing something similar to what it is that you're doing. And so you're trying to vision it for yourself. But I promise you that that it's time to move when those things motivate you. But watching someone else do what you're meant to do will never inspire the change that will literally change the trajectory of your life. It is only when you make that decision that you are worth it and you just go for it. And you will see that there's a level of joy that comes from just saying yes to yourself and just trusting yourself. All right. How do you know it's the right time, right? Like, one of the things that I see a lot of times, women say, I'm ready, I want to move, but they can't move because they can't move their money, or they believe they can't move their money, or something, the investment minded wise, they are stuck in their beliefs. So let me explain this. I'll go a little bit deeper. So let's imagine that it's time for you to move. And when you think about moving, that it often you might need some support, right? So support might look like a coach, it might look like a mentor, some advisor. And when you think about investing in yourself, you might have the mindset that says, I'm taking away something from my family. Or you might have the mindset that says, I don't see how I could do this thing for me. But if conversely, I asked you to make an investment in someone else that you love, you could figure it out like in a snap. You know that it's the right time to move when you are in the stage where you have to figure it out. Every single time I've ever grown at the highest level, I have been in a place where I've had to say yes and then figure it out along the way. And when I first got started in my business, I'll never forget this. I invested $18,000 starting my coaching business, and I wasn't even really sure what kind of coaching I was going to do. And I paid monthly, $1,000 a month. And I knew that one of the things that was going to be really important for me was having the mentorship, to have the right advice, right? To have the right example, to get inside, to figure out exactly what I needed to do to build a business properly. And I never questioned that. I never, made money a struggle for me because I knew that on the other side, I was going to bet on myself. And I knew that as a result of me making the investment in myself, that I was going to show up for myself. And I want to say that, it's time to move when you know that you're that person that if you knew what to do, you'll do it. And no, life doesn't come with any guarantees. There's nothing that I've ever invested in that I had a guarantee that 100% everything was going to work out. But I also had a guarantee that if I didn't make a move, I'd be in the exact same place. I knew that for sure. And I knew that as a result of not moving, my life would never change. And I hope that as a result of you hearing me say that to you today, for those of you, so many of you have been watching me for years, many of you for hours, right? Like hours. I've got thousands of videos over the years. And you've seen the journey. You've seen the clients that I've worked with. You've seen the level of results and transformation that people have created. And it's real. But the question isn't whether or not it's real for others. It's the question of whether you want things to be real for you. And that's a matter of feeling worthy, of understanding that saying yes to yourself is saying yes to yourself, not asking anyone to come look for you or search for you or ask you about your decision making to choose you. My best clients, and I have so many of them, my best clients are the women who, and this is typically how the women I work with work. They come to me, they want to work with me, they want a solution, they know that I can help them, they've seen evidence and proof of what I do. And that's the end of the conversation. Most say to me, Mia, this is what I want. This is what I desire. I know that you can support me. How can we work together? And then we come up with a solution that can work for them, and that's usually some kind of payment solution of what it looks like. I have clients that give me a credit card and I haven't made an offer to them. And of course, I always think that's really funny, but I work with people like that. And you got to have that level of readiness when you are ready for a solution and you see that solution in front of you, right? And you run away from it. You got to understand that. Talk to the version of yourself that really wants to change. Talk to the version of yourself of what it would look like and to advise yourself on stepping into that new version of you that hits $500,000 or more in her business, the person that hits $1 million or more in her business, the person that has $10,000 more months, $20,000 more months. Step into that version. How does she show up? And don't ever make a decision from your lowest place. Make a decision from your highest and your tallest place, because then you're choosing powerfully. I hope that this supports someone in their decision making. Today, what I'm talking about, and I'm about to wrap up, is how do you know when it's the right time to move? And you know it when I talked about already, you've been hiding, you have about taking classes, feeling like you're an imposter in some way, right? You're not ready. You know it also when you don't feel fulfilled in what you're doing completely. You might like what you're doing professionally, but you also feel like there is more for you and you're ready to access it. You know that it's the right time to move when you keep thinking about what you want to do over and over again. It doesn't go away. You're thinking about it over and over again. You're watching it. You're reading about that thing. And that's when a calling is on your life and it's undeniable. It doesn't leave you. It stays with you. And then the last piece of what I talked about, it's the right time to move when you get in a place where you say, yes, this is what I want. This is who I want to work with. This is what I need in order for me to hit that next version of my goals in my life. This is the level of accountability I need. And I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to be in a mindset that figures it out, not in a mindset that says, I want to do something and you can't ever figure it out, because you never get to live on the other side what it looks like to be a person that figures things out. Is that making sense? Is that clear? If you have any questions for me, feel free to post those in the chat, and I'll do my best to read them in real time. So, I wanted to come here because so many women I have the opportunity each and every week to work with and watch them change their life by their decision making. And then I also watch women equally as talented and creative and amazing who say no to themselves because they have built the practice of saying no. And I want you to know that we practice anything, right? You can practice anything. The habits that we practice is what we become. And if you're that person that you've been practicing saying no to something you should say yes to, now it's time to, get in position. Say yes to your launching, saying yes to yourself, saying yes to working with the mentor and coach that you feel like, I don't know if I'm ready yet. That's exactly why you say yes, so that you can step into that next version of you and that person can shine a light and you stand on their shoulders and they can show you where you want to be. Last thing I'll say as I close is that so many women, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, are so focused on, working hard. And hard in the sense of making it harder than it needs to be by building a business. They are looking for a $27 solution, a $97 solution to change their life. I work with women who are fully committed. I work with women who have the ability to trust themselves enough to make significant investments in a full solution, right? Something that they know will change their life the very first time. Not someone that wants to come into something that's $97. You already know that someone's gonna make an offer for $49, $497 or $15.97 and et cetera, et cetera. I work with women who choose what they want and what they need for the very first time. And so it's one of the reasons I host my master training is a full solution. And it gives gives them the opportunity to choose themselves the very, very first time and to step into a high level of mentorship and coaching that's life changing. You can always check it out, the Giant Experience Master Training. It's thegiantexperience.com, thegiantexperience.com. So, and if this has resonated with you in any way, I'm going to post my link. Feel free to book a 15-minute clarity call with us. It's our way and our gift to you to show you what is the next path forward for you to package what you know as a high value product online or offline. I have clients just simply by saying yes to themselves have changed their entire lives because they stopped being afraid. They started being in action. All right. I love you. I hope you have a great and amazing rest of your night, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night.